Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing good. I hope you're enjoying your games and enjoying your sports and just enjoying life. The draft lottery was just concluded, and I figured this is a good time to dive back into a mock draft, YouTube NBA 2K22 style. It's been a few months since I've done one of these. I enjoy doing them. They get a little long, and I don't really know if people actually watch them. If you like this kind of stuff, please let me know in the comments. If not, I don't want to just put out videos just for the sake of having videos up there. I want to do stuff that people are actually interested in. I also have a website, sportsgamingrosters.com, where I post my mock drafts and things like that if it's better just in website style. But I'm going to be coming out with a roster, off-season roster set next day or two. It's going to have these rookies in it, and that'll be updated throughout the off-season, just like everything else I do. So yeah, without any further ado, let me just dive right into this thing. With the first pick, the Orlando Magic select Chet Holmgren, power forward, Gonzaga. So right now it's definitely a three-man race for the first pick. The Magic are going to have quite a bit of homework to do. Three big men, three totally different type of players. So unlike many years where you get the top pick and you're going to select who's the guy, who's the man, the Magic have a lot of work to do, and it can go a lot of different ways. But still, first pick, they got their choice of everybody. And until I hear differently, I'm still going to go with Chet Holmgren. He's still my top prospect right now. I see a lot of mocks and a lot of analysis that has Jabari Smith going to the Magic at this point. Definitely the best shooter of the three. Paolo Manchero is probably the best offensive all-around player of the three. But I like everything that Holmgren brings to the table. I don't think his lack of strength is really a tremendous issue. The NBA is a different kind of game these days. He'll be able to get by in the NBA. Kevin Durant couldn't even bench press the bar when he got into the pros. I love his ball handling, his three-point shooting, tremendous shot blocker. He just does a lot of different things on the court. He can go any three ways and it will definitely change, but right now I'm sticking with Holmgren until I have a reason not to. With the second pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Paolo Manchero, power forward, Duke. So the Thunder was probably the one team that really needed to get into this top three. Their guard play is pretty impressive. They got a really nice long-term trio there, but not much in the front court, especially scoring. They're just all pretty much role players, big project. So Manchero or Jabari Smith, one of those two guys that come right in and basically be the top scorer on the team. Manchero, especially, great at creating his own offense. He reminds me a lot of a young Carmelo Anthony. I know that's pretty lofty praise for people who are old like me and can remember Melo in the mid to late 2000s, especially being a Nuggets fan. He was just a tremendous offensive player. Manchero can do everything on that side of the court. Not really much of a defender, but you need points in the NBA, and especially the Thunder. They don't have many guys who can get their own buckets. So Smith or Manchero would be a good pick here, but I'm going with Paolo. With the third pick, the Houston Rockets select Jabari Smith, power forward from Auburn. So the Rockets, they're sitting pretty, even though they fell to the third pick after having the worst record in the NBA. They get to just select whatever big man's left. They're all three very good prospects, so the top three was definitely where you wanted to be in this draft, and Houston can just sit back and select whoever's left. Here, that's Jabari Smith. Great length, great shooter for a big man, maybe the best shooter in this class, period. He's got to work on a lot of other parts of his game, defense, rebounding, shot blocking, but he's got that Rashard Lewis sweet stroke to his game, and you need shooting in the NBA these days, especially the Rockets, who they're a very ISO heavy team, drive a lot, so to kick it out to Smith for threes, he'd be a perfect fit for them. Not much to say here. Houston just sits back and selects whatever big man's left. With the fourth pick, the Sacramento Kings select Jaden Ivey, shooting guard from Purdue. So the Kings were the one team that got to move up quite a few spots, and moving up to 4 is a big deal. Ivey's not quite in the same tier as the big three power forwards, but I think he's in tier 2 all by himself. So it's a pleasant surprise for the Kings. Ivey is a great scorer, great ball handler, slasher. Drawing some unfair comparisons to John Moran, he's not quite that good, but I think he's a really good penetrator and a good scorer. Something the Kings really need. They moved Tyrese Halliburton and definitely have a hole for a scoring guard, and I think Ivey could definitely provide that for the Kings. Not a lot's gone right in Sacramento, but this is a nice first step for these guys. With the fifth pick, the Detroit Pistons select Shadon Sharpe, shooting guard from Kentucky. This pick is going to come down to Sharpe or Keegan Murray, well, as of right now. That's my tier 3 with AJ Griffin a distant third in that tier. I like Sharpe as a better fit next to Cade Cunningham. Killian Hayes, Cunningham backcourt experiment didn't really work. They got Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Stewart and Jeremy Grant still around. So I think a scoring guard is a bigger need right now. Not that the Pistons can afford to draft for need over talent. Sharpe was the top recruit for the 2023 class, but he classified to 22, didn't play in Kentucky and declare for the draft. So he's the definite unknown, but I mean, he's a great scoring guard, and that stuff usually translates to the NBA. So the Pistons, still in the infancy of their rebuilding stage, go with Sharp here. With the 6th pick, the Indiana Pacers select Keegan Murray, power forward from Iowa. So mocks have slowly moved Keegan Murray into the top 10, but I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back, since I've had him in my top 10 since about December. He was probably the best, well, the most productive player in college basketball last year. There wasn't really a lot he could not do. Scoring, rebounding, blocking shots. He's a really productive player. Not the most talented, wasn't the highest recruit, playing for Iowa, not exactly Duke or Kentucky, but all he did was produce. The Pacers are definitely transitioning into the next chapter of their existence, led by Tyrese Halliburton. So best player available here, and I got Murray as the other player in my tier 3 along with Shadon Sharp, so that's the direction I'm going to go for the Pacers. With the 7th pick, the Portland Trail Blazers select AJ Griffin, small forward from Duke. So this draft really falls off, in my opinion, after the first 7 picks. You got the big 3 power forwards, tier 1, Jaden Ivey, tier 2, and then Sharp, Murray, and Griffin, tier 3. So Portland lucks out and gets the last of that group. I mean, I'm not a scout, I'm not an expert, but that's just my personal opinion. Griffin was kind of the 5th man on Duke this year, an extremely talented team that there's an outside chance they may have 5 first-round picks in this draft. Griffin started off the year very slowly, but if you look at the stats, he was a super efficient scorer. The son of a head coach, a pretty high recruit. There's a lot of upside here. A project to be sure, but Portland definitely needs the talent, and I think he could grow into a pretty solid player. With the 8th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans select Johnny Davis, shooting guard from Wisconsin. Davis was on fire for the first few months of the season, but he really kind of hit a brick wall. Makes sense. He's a sophomore. He's really reliant on shooting, and Wisconsin just was not a great team, and he got a lot of attention defensively. That being said, I don't see him as an elite prospect, but shooting translates, and the Pelicans really have something going there, but you can always use more shooting, and I think Davis will provide that 15-point per game scorer or so. Not the highest of upside in the top 10, but like I said before, I think this draft falls off after the first 6 or 7 guys, and Davis would be a good fit in New Orleans. With the 9th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Jalen Durin, center from Memphis. So Penny Hardaway has shown that he can really recruit, but has not shown he can do anything with these recruits. James Wiseman, Imani Bates, both of those guys were kind of a mess. But I think Jalen Durin did what he had to do. He's very young. He reclassified to the 2021 class, so he was 17, 18 years old. Not much of a scorer, would have been a much higher pick a decade and a half ago, but I like his talent, I like his tenacity, great rebounder, good shot blocker, tough defender. I don't think he's going to fall out of the lottery. I think it would be a disservice to the type of talent that he is. He's a good player. The Spurs have a ton of guards, but they could use more toughness in the front court. 3 first-round picks, I think they could definitely take a plunge on Durin here. With the 10th pick, the Washington Wizards select Benedict Mathurin, shooting guard, Arizona. Not sure what the Wizards are thinking. They're going to try to build around Kristaps Porzingis and Bradley Beal now. We'll see how that goes, but I am pretty sure they're just going to continue to be that middling Eastern Conference team that nobody ever pays attention to. Player drafted 10th overall isn't really going to change things. They're not going to get a starting point guard. They're not going to get a starting small forward. Mathurin, he's a good scorer, a good slasher, a developing shooter. Can do a lot of little things. He'll be another role player along with several other guys the Wizards have picked around this spot in the past few years. So I'm going to end the analysis here, throw on some music, and just show you the rest of the first round. I don't really have much more to say. I'll just be repeating things that I've talked about in previous videos. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please stay tuned for a lot more draft content. Thank you.